Today we're taking a look at the Ushakov. This is an amazingly tanky battleship. This is the Super Kremlin, 135,000 HP, insane armor, the fast cooldown and use damage controls, and of course we have Kuznetzov, who has been nerfed but is still, well, still pretty OP as far as the special commanders go. In this video, we're going to take a look at 4 different games that I've already played in this ship, and we're going to see just how good this ship is. The utility this ship brings over the other super battleships is tankiness. That is it. Personally, just to spoil a little bit of the video, I hate these guns. I think these guns are junk. But what we can do, because of all of this extra armor and HP, is just push directly into people. And it seems like that's what this ship was intended to do. It has a special upgrade when you get 3 reasonably accurate salvos at people. You can pop your special ability, gain a bit of range, and more importantly, 30% accuracy. So when you do actually have this ability up, it can be reasonably accurate, which is quite nice. And getting up close to people, it's really important to have those accurate, consistent salvos. One of the issues with pushing in is you just can't trust your guns in this game. I find myself very frustrated by pushing battleships for that very reason. But we're pushing in here. This is going to be the most extreme example of how hard you can actually charge into people because it's arms race, and arms race buffs are insane. We're already up to 142,000 HP, at least on the maximum side of things. Yeah, arms race is fun for this ship. Although, again, the accuracy of the guns is going to be very tilting for some of you. If you're like me, I just can't trust these guns. Whereas a lot of the other super battleships, even Hannover, I can trust the guns far more than the tier 10 counterpart. With the Ushakov, I feel like I'm going backwards, which is quite unfortunate. Although as I'm saying that, we do have our one good salvo of all these games. So there we go. There it is. You found it. The one good salvo we got. Into a Hindenburg, which we didn't actually even Citadel him. The Ushakov pushing like this, taking focus fire, that's how you're going to win games in this ship, in my opinion. You are just a brick that spots things, that takes all this focus fire, that allows your team to push up and allows your team to apply a lot of damage in on the enemies that you're spotting, that because they're just shooting at you, right? They're going to get spotted, and your team can do a lot of damage for you. Which is not always the most enjoyable thing when you're relying on your teammates to do damage. We'll see that in a little bit. If you don't have good teammates to support you, this ship is a bit of a struggle. It won't carry games particularly well. At least the turret traverse is quite nice. I don't even have any turret traverse upgrades, and you can see that they do rotate reasonably quickly. I should mention about the guns first that they're basically Kremlin guns. You get 457s, so no upgrade in caliber here, which I kind of like. We don't really need much more 32mm overmatch in super ships, although I'm sure we're going to get more of that. I really do like that the Ushakov continues the Kremlin playstyle. I think as far as super ships go, you're going to really understand how to play this super ship coming from the Kremlin. There's really not a lot of changes here. The gun layout is the same. You're a tanky brick type of ship that wants to push, bow in, not exposing broadside at closer range, although the broadside is definitely very well armored. So that's nice. You get a little bit of consistency there if you decide to get this ship. I can't really comment on the AA strength because I didn't really find myself against any carriers. I got very lucky in that sense. Although when we do look at the commander, you will see that I spec'd a little bit AA. Just because these bow on stationary positions like this, you're a free target for the carrier. So I wanted to try at least deal with that a little bit, although I didn't really run into it, unfortunately. As far as the guns and them getting knocked out, as you can see, we actually had one of our guns get knocked out by that incomparable, maybe the Satsuma. I was running the auxiliary armaments upgrade in for the first slot, so the guns can be a lot tankier than this. I just didn't want to have all the AA melted off my ship in the first HE salvo, so that's really why I was taking that, and I did find that the guns survived most of the time. Here we're going to take a shot using our special gimmicky F skill, right, where you get better accuracy. I was aiming for the rear cheek on the Satsuma, looks like I missed, but hey, 5 out of 6 shells landing at 12 kilometers, that feels pretty good. certainly different than the standard Ushakov dispersion, that's for sure. And because this is arms race and the game is closing up here, well, we're just going to push out. The Ushakov, much like the Kremlin, has a very, very strong broadside belt armor. So even if you're a little bit not angled correctly, even a Hannover is going to struggle to get through and actually citadel you. Unfortunately, I didn't quite aim high enough, so we actually don't do any damage to the Hannover either. Definitely go for those superstructure hits on those German battleships. They're very, very easy to kill that way. And yeah, all the focus on me, and my teammates are doing a great job of killing the Hannover. And last, I don't really know what happened here. Somebody please explain to me, other than maybe just the game could use, I don't know, some updates to the aiming and shells system. I don't know how that was a Citadel, but it was. It's esports ready, right? Esports ready experience. And that's the first game. 133,000 damage. Seems okay, but considering how pushed up I was and how much closer I was getting to people to actually get better salvos in, I expect more damage out of this ship. And a lot of that damage actually came from that super bugged out salvo into that Kremlin. So not the best gunpowder. Although we did tank pretty well in that game, of course, using islands to our advantage to limit the torpedo angles that can hit us, since, yeah, no hydro on this one. The German battleships, of course, having hydro feels a lot better when you are forced, or at least play in these more upfront positions. And in this match, our next one we're taking a look at, yeah, we're going to eat a lot of torpedoes here. I was kind of the center pin position for our team. You're going to notice that our team was just ultra passive this game and really decided not to play for the most part. So it's really me just kind of holding this middle area here as long as I could. But yeah, this one's definitely going to end in a bit of a blowout. And you're going to see just how low we can go eating all of these torpedoes. The Ushakov is very tanky when you're angled and taking regular fire, right? Like you're taking battleship salvos, you're taking cruiser, even high DPM cruiser salvos. It's not too bad. But the torpedoes hurt a lot, and there's some very, very strong torps at this tier. Although, to be fair, I think I ran into double Yamagiri on the enemy team a lot in these games that I was playing. So you won't always see that. It should be a little bit easier than that to deal with the torpedoes, but hey, it happens. As you can see, our OP commander here is definitely keeping us alive. And yeah, as we get into the late game here, not a lot changed. And you notice the damage, right? We're pushed up. We're actually getting closer range shots than I would be in a Patrie or a Hannover even. Certainly closer range than the Satsuma. I mean, what are you going to say about a salvo like that, right? Like, the guns are very bad. They're extremely frustrating to use, even at close range. I don't think this is the case, but it feels like to me it's just the Russian long-range dispersion with, like, I don't know, Japanese close-range dispersion. It's just bad. The dispersion just feels bad all the way throughout the dispersion range. It feels like I just need to get lucky to actually do damage with the guns. And there'll be a better clip later on. Oh, 2 salvos. Sorry, 2 good salvos this game. My bad. Or this video, sorry, in these 4 games. I did get a second good salvo there, but yeah, we already used Kuznetsov's special upgrades, so we're definitely going down there. And you're going to see a lot of this in super ship games, where your team just doesn't play the game. And that's going to be a big issue here. So even though you are tanky and can take all that focus fire and provide that value to your team, which I think is really, really cool and a lot of fun to play up close like that. That first arms race game was hilarious. And in this game, charging into the B cap first thing. Like, I literally pushed W, spawned mid, and I got to the B cap as fast as I possibly could. I'm even using acceleration mod. So you can play aggressive. It's very fun. But the problem is you're not always going to get teammates that can capitalize on your weird positions you can get into, the extra spotting you provide, that kind of thing. So keep that in mind. It's probably best to actually play this thing in a division if you do want battle impact. If you're playing solo and you're pretty good at the game, you're used to carrying matches, I don't think you're going to enjoy the Ushakov. I think if you're not great at the game and you're dying a lot, but you still want to play aggressive and maybe provide some support value to your team or tanking value to your team, sure, I think you can enjoy Ushakov. But if you're used to positioning well, getting rewarded for good salvos, I don't think you're actually going to like this ship a lot. I find it very frustrating to play, at least in the time I've spent so far with it. Well, I guess, you know, we do manage to survive that torpedo salvo. And look at the team, right? Our team is just absolutely destroying the enemy team. 3 kills on the feed there for a second. It's really interesting to have this ultra raid boss tank on the on your team, but it just doesn't have the impact, that firepower that I would expect out of a ship, especially at close range. Like, I would be totally fine if this ship had junk like an RNG based awful salvos at range, but I feel like at closer range we should be doing better. I guess maybe I got unlucky in the games that I've been playing, but man, it was very, very, very annoying to be so close to the enemies at such a high tier and feel like I've got tier 9 level guns or even lower. It's frustrating. It's very frustrating. So I don't really enjoy the Ushakov for that reason. But being able to push in is a lot of fun in these super ship games without instantly just evaporating like a Hannover would. That giant superstructure is very easy to farm, where Ushakov is very tough to dig out of some of these spots. The B cap here on this map is a great example. You really don't want to be pushing this rock first thing in most ships, but a Kremlin in tier 10 games can do it. And Ushakov in the super ship games can make it work. It's fun. It's interesting to play these different positions that you normally wouldn't be able to in a standard battleship. So for that reason, I like it. But I don't know. I'm conflicted, as you can tell, guys. I'm quite conflicted. So you're going to have to let me know what you think in the comments down below about this thing. If you're going to get it, are you going to try for the auction? Keep in mind it is an auction again, like all the other super ships have been. So we're getting 2 patches from the auction start date. You'll be able to buy it normally for credits. It's going to be very, very expensive again. I'm certainly not going to be giving up a ton of credits just to try and get this thing. I don't even think I have enough credits, though, to enter the auction. The minimum bid is 100,000 or 100 million credits, I'm pretty sure. So kind of tough to get into that unless you have a ton of credits just lying around. And I think this last bit here where we're facing off against this Salem, make sure you watch this if you're actually going to try and get this ship. It's possible I'm getting unlucky, but it's a bow-on stationary Salem at 11 kilometers, guys, against a super battleship. Like, this is where a cruiser should just be evaporating. I understand the farming from behind an island, farming me through smoke, even at long range, right, where my dispersion isn't going to be great. But here, I should be chunking this guy, even if I'm not using my rear turret. This is what made me really frustrated while playing this ship. I'm tanking for my team. This is a perfect example, actually. We're getting close to 2 million potential damage here tanked with 2 heals and 2 damage controls still available to us. We haven't even used Kuznetzov yet. It's the perfect example of the Ushakov. You can tank forever, but the damage output is awful. It's so frustrating. You know, and maybe I'm getting in my head a little bit. Certainly was in playing this game. You're going to see me miss a pretty easy salvo once we do manage to pop our special ability later. But it's very frustrating to be this close to a cruiser that you overmatch everywhere and to be doing such little damage, next to no damage. It's very, very, very annoying. So you got to rely on teammates then to come in and support you with damage, and that's not always going to happen. In this game, fortunately, my teammates do eventually come around to help. Notice they're probably focused on the Satsuma, I would say. The guys over on the 1, 2, 3 lines, at least. So I'm kind of alone here against these cruisers, which should be fine, right? There we go. At longer ranges, we get 2 full pens, 8,000 damage. Even though the dispersion wasn't great, it's decent damage, right? But at closer ranges, maybe I'm crazy, but I'm expecting to get at least 10,000 damage into a Salem at 10 kilometers, right? I don't think that's too unreasonable. That's not even a Citadel. So yeah, it's a weird ship that I think has the potential to be game-breakingly overpowered, given how tanky it is, if they gave it reliable damage output. So I guess that's probably why the guns suck, but man, it makes it a very frustrating ship to play, where it feels like all you're there to be is a punching bag. And that's the point of a battleship, really, in competitive a lot of the time, is to provide long-range crossfires and then go in and be a punching bag when required. Here's that salvo that I'd missed, by the way. I'm just too in my head about dispersion and RNG that I'm not actually aiming particularly well. So I can see the Ushakov being really, really strong in clan battle, ranked kind of situations. Kings of the Sea, if they ever do super ships, I don't know, haven't really been keeping up with that tournament recently, but if they do end up doing super ships, I can see this thing being insanely strong, just because you're going to play an island like this and provide crossfires and force the enemy team to deal with you, while your teammates all push up around the map and use your distraction to just gain a stranglehold on the caps and control the game that way. So yeah, I can see it being good in those situations, but that doesn't make it fun to play in random battles as a solo player who tends to want to have that damage battle impact as well, to carry and win games that way. Not just through sitting there getting your face punched in, basically, by the entire enemy team. Salem, again, this is a little longer range now, 15 kilometers away. Yeah, it's just frustrating, man. It's just frustrating to play. And the damage output compared to other super battleships, that's the key here. We're not even comparing to tier 10s. It feels weak compared to tier 10 damage output, at least in the games that I've been playing, which haven't been too many, keep in mind. This is more of a first impressions video, not a full review kind of thing where I've played it for hours and hours, like hundreds of games, that kind of thing. But yeah, it's not going to be my first choice. I would way rather play a Satsuma. Satsuma over this any day. I don't know about probably Hannover as well, Patrie as well over this. This is probably the worst super battleship in the game, at least in my opinion. So far, we'll see what they come out with next. You never know. That Italian super battleship definitely could give it a run for its money. Not that one has been announced yet. I'm just speculating because Colombo certainly not in the best place right now. As for the captain build, this is what I went with, trying to keep my main guns alive, while on the upgrades I'm taking things to keep my secondaries, but more importantly the AA alive. I went for this one AA upgrade because a lot of the other ones, I mean, Vigilance is probably a much better one to take that I would probably switch for if I was playing this a lot more, or at least on my main account. Grease the gears, as you can see in the video, I don't think is really all that necessary. The guns rotate quick. I was taking Adrenaline Rush, basics of survivability, of course, emergency repair expert, concealment, fire prevention. Pretty standard. So as far as this build is concerned, I would probably just switch this over to Vigilance, and that would be my final build on this ship. Equipment-wise, notice that I am taking propulsion mod. Again, on some of these islands like I was playing, it's super useful to have that extra maneuverability and just to move forward and back to throw off people's aim, because they really do have to hit a small superstructure as a target. Auxiliary Armaments mod 1 to keep that AA alive. Not sure how worth that is, so you might want to just go main armaments. Or you could even consider Damage Control Party, increasing the duration of these short cooldown ones. Could be interesting. Not always the most worth it, though. Running aiming systems, because what else? We need to help these guns out as best as we can. That's kind of the build. It's a super Kremlin, but not really all that super, in my opinion. It's just a Kremlin with more HP and worse guns. That's kind of been my opinion of it. Although that could change as I play it more once I get it on my main account. But that's going to happen in a couple of months. So let me know what you think about this in the comments down below. I really appreciate you guys watching this video. And have a great rest of your day.